Against the Current is sponsored in part by ServPro of Pulaski and Laurel counties. When fire or water damage takes over your life, trust the team in green at ServPro to help you make it like it never even happened. They provide 24/7 service when you need it most. Give the local office a call at 606-877-2160 or online at servpro-pulaski-laurel-counties.com. Franchises are independently owned and operated. Today I'm joined by Mr. Ameet Patel. Ameet was born in Bowling Green, but has called Somerset and Pulaski County home for the past 22 years. He's a proud alumnus of Southwestern High School and the University of Kentucky. Go Cats. Ameet holds degrees in accounting, finance, and management. During his tenure at UK, Ameet notes his greatest accomplishment was meeting his now wife, who we know is listening to this, and Ameet deserves all the brownie points for this. His now wife, Jessica. Ameet was able to secure a job offer shortly after college from one of the largest public accounting firms in the nation during his senior year. So a year or so into the new position, Ameet just felt the urge to jump ship from the corporate world to small business to ultimately retire his parents after 45 years in the hospitality industry. Ameet has since used his family business as a platform to grow and expand in the hospitality industry, forming Thoroughbred Hospitality Group, and by now serving on many boards, most notably the University of Kentucky College of Business and Economics Emerging Leaders Board, Choice Hotels International Rising Stars Board, and the City of Somerset Tourism Board as chairman, as well as a newest member of the SPEDA board.
That's right.
His current projects include a new construction during COVID. Might we add that? We'll talk more on that later. A dual branded Sleep Inn and Mainstay Suites by Choice Hotels in Georgetown, a Hampton Inn by Hilton and Brandon Crossing on the outskirts of Lexington, and Kentucky's first Crumbl cookies franchise, which set to open in the Hamburg area of Lexington, which I am more than willing to drive up to Hamburg just to sample these cookies I keep seeing on social media. Community has always played a huge role in Ameet's upbringing, and his businesses truly reflect that. A firm believer that hotels and businesses are more than a place to stay and visit, but moreover, a community partner that is in it for the long haul. You will always find Ameet and other members of THG willing to lend a hand. Ameet is the son of Arvind and Hansa.
Yeah.
Am I pronouncing correctly? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's a proud brother to three older sisters. Ameet, welcome to the season 2 of Against the Current podcast.
Yeah.
Glad to have you on here. It's been a long awaited conversation I've been wanting to have with you.
Absolutely. I mean, it goes both ways. As I told you just a little bit ago, this being on a podcast or just starting a podcast has always been a little goal of mine. And this is just kind of checking that box. So I really appreciate it. And when you asked me, I was literally jumping for joy.
Well, hey, maybe this will be the springboard to a future podcast of your own here. You'll see how easy it is and be like, hey, I need to do this. This is awesome.
Yeah, why not?
Well, Ameet, with all that being said, what I try to like to do is we're going to continue on with the trend from season 1 and do a few rapid fire questions to get those creative juices flowing and to put you on the hot seat on a few controversial topics. So what I'll do here, since the month of April, we're going to be focusing on tourism and the big bright spot that it provides for our community. So some fun questions here. I know when I am visiting a place, there are 2 things I always search for beforehand. It's where can I find the best donuts and where can I find the best pizza? What is your mind? Do you do the same thing? Are you a restaurant guy or are you looking at a certain bar? What's your approach when you're going to a new place?
I think when I travel, the number one thing that I look at is close proximity to restaurants. I think you kind of nailed it right there on the head there. Restaurants, if I'm with my friends or with some family, a good gathering place is always helpful. Extracurricular activities close by without having to drive too much or too far. I think that's as long as it's within an earshot. I think that's all I really look for.
I agree. I like it. Next question with that. When you go on vacation, are you a warm weather, water, beach guy, or are you the snow in the mountains cabin guy?
This is a hard question. Okay. I think if I had to pick between the two, I'd want to be in warm weather for sure. And I say that hesitantly because my last, vacation was kind of like my bachelor's trip, right? We were in Denver And we had such a blast. We went snowmobiling, skiing, snowboarding, and all of that, and just experiencing pretty much everything Denver has to offer was such an eye opener for me. So it's a tough question for sure. But I think at the end of the day, I think being out in the sun just kind of beats it just a little bit.
Now, I'm asking you that here at the end of March. Would your answer to that question be different when it's middle of August and it's been 105 degrees for a month straight?
Yeah, we should definitely schedule a follow-up question in August to see if my answers change.
I like it. Next question that we've got to keep this going just because it's a popular issue in our household. Are you pancakes or waffles?
Waffles. I got to have the texture.
I mean, sometimes in the hospitality industry, right?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. So waffles for me is a texture thing. I've got to have that subtle crispiness on the edges and then the fluffiness in the middle. And then I smother it in peanut butter. I don't know if you do this or not, but I smother it with peanut butter and then put syrup on top.
Brought that up. You're the second one that's brought that up. I'm going to try that next waffle. I got to check it out.
100%. I mean, it works great on pancakes too, but I mean, the only difference is the texture. I mean, I like to have that little subtle crunch or crispiness on the edge there.
You got to cook that waffle past the time it tells you to get that extra little crunch into it.
Absolutely.
Do it. Okay, the last couple of questions here. What's the last maybe book and or podcast listen to, or just that really sticks out to you?
So in terms of podcast, How I Built This by Guy Rise is a really good one. I don't know if you've listened to it, but it essentially goes behind the stories of all these different companies. Most famously, I think the most recent episode I've listened to is I'm a big foodie at heart. So I listened to Chipotle, the story about Chipotle and how they got started, Five Guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not just about food, right? So that they've done Airbnb, Crate and Barrel, all of these famous companies. So it's a great listen. It's an NPR based podcast. So if you know how those go, so if that's any indication, that's kind of the same kind of aspect of that. But in terms of books, I listen to a lot of my books because I spend a lot of my time in going to and from a bunch of places. So I do a lot of audiobooks. Yeah. I just actually wrapped up President Obama's book. Just wanted to see what it was about, and actually subsequently started his wife's book now, Becoming, just to kind of get that background, of what it was like on in terms of a spouse, from the spouse's point of view of being in the White House. Sure. And it's a good read. It's a good read. I mean, no matter your political affiliation, I think it's a good insight. Yeah. It's a good insight into the White House.
Yeah, I like that. Last question here. Love to win or hate to lose?
Love to win or hate to lose? I hate to lose. And I say that with a grain of salt because if I'm losing, that means I did something wrong. I'm going to figure out what I did wrong and make sure I don't do that thing again, right? So it's kind of like learning from my shortcomings or mistakes. Yep. But it's at the same time, it's a blessing, right? Because you're able to see what you've done wrong and kind of grow from there, right? Winning, sure. I mean, winning's great. But I mean, it's another day, right? It's another thing off your list. It's not like we're competing against anything or anybody. We're just trying to do our best day in and day out.
Strong answer. Well, Ameet, I've given a 50,000 foot overview of you. I didn't really touch enough on Thoroughbred Hospitality Group just because I didn't want to do a disservice to the brand and everything you guys have built and continue to build there. So I'm going to turn it over now to you. Give us for those listeners that don't know or maybe just barely know the tip of the iceberg there, give them the who, what, where, when, and why, and how you came down to your current position leading Thoroughbred Hospitality Group.
Yeah, so Thoroughbred Hospitality Group, or THG in short, is comprised of many different team members, whether at the local hotel level or at the corporate level. It's a team effort. I mean, we've got a fantastic director of operations in Evan Sutton, who loves to be the guy behind the scenes. He's the man behind the man, and without him and his guidance, I couldn't do anything at all. He's allowing me to help to get out and grow the brand and do all these construction projects. We've got Jakay Garth, who is unbelievably talented, and she is the future. I kid you not. This woman does it all, and she is the future. And I'm just so incredibly lucky to have her on my team, and all the way down to our general managers all across all of our hotel portfolio. We've got Monica Ramsey up in Bullitt County, along with her assistant general manager Sherry Robeson. All the way down to Columbia to we've got Miss Deshana Curry. She does a wonderful job there, and even in Somerset we've got Tim Kelly, who's infamously killing the market when it comes to hospitality, and we've got a rising star in Joshua Troxel as well. So I mean, I think we're in good company. We're young, we're hungry, we're ready to get to work. But overall, THG in itself is just it's a management company essentially. We're able to kind of find efficiencies that some other people, or if you were to run a business yourself, we're able to kind of get and gain a lot of these efficiencies and pass it along to ownership, and just kind of make the business model a little bit more lean, just by implementing all these policies just by trial and error. THC was founded based off of our own hotel portfolio. So my family business, was hotels prior to THG, and so we were able to kind of use those hotels as guinea pigs of what worked, what didn't work, and now we've kind of found a system that we're still ever changing, by the way, that we can kind of implement to other properties that we may not own. So third party management and so on and so forth. And we're kind of slowly pivoting. COVID has made us pivot a little bit. We're still heavy into the hospitality industry, but we want to do a little spin on hospitality. And so that's kind of what the Crumbl cookies ordeal is about.
So let's run down through the list here too, just for those that aren't aware. So you mentioned, of course, the location there in Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
Will you run down the location, I guess the portfolio location of where you guys have hotels currently that are open, and also the new locations?
Absolutely. So we've got a Sleep Inn and Suites located off of 65, off of exit 117, I believe it is, right there in Bullitt County. It's a pitching wedge away from the Jefferson County line. So it's right there. You're just hop on 65, 10 minutes and you're in downtown Louisville. It's right there on the cusp. Then as you become more towards central and southern Kentucky, we've got a new hotel under construction, and that's going to be the Sleep Inn and Mainstay Suites, and located in Georgetown, Kentucky. We're a hop, skip, and a jump away from the main Toyota assembling plant there. So we're right there, right off 75, off of exit 129 there. As you come further south, we're starting a new construction project this year, a new Hampton Inn by Hilton, right on the outskirts of Lexington in Brandon Crossing, as you mentioned earlier. So we started our site work on that, and then we're just jumping through the hoops of everything construction right now. So it's been a whirlwind for sure. Coming further down 75, Somerset. That's our bread and butter, right? Somerset is where we call home. So we've got the Comfort Inn down there on the south end of town, the Hampton Inn right there next to it, and then Best Western kind of in the heart of the city there. So we've got a lot invested into Somerset, and we're really excited for Somerset to grow and be a helping hand to facilitate that growth. And then last but not least, we've got the small team down in Columbia, Kentucky, who never cease to amaze me. They always seem to find a way to do more with less, and it's just such a sight.
Oh yeah. Oh, you hit on, and I wanted to go through that list first, just so the listeners have an idea of where all you guys are located. But obviously what I want to hit on is, I guess maybe the elephant in the room is back step real quick. So I feel like one thing that at least a lot of people see about COVID is it's how you go support your local restaurant, go buy from your local restaurant. And I feel like there has been somewhat of an emphasis on restaurants, and hey, I'm right there for it. I love our local restaurants. We're out there helping them too. And I feel like a forgotten, I guess, industry, especially maybe in an area like Somerset, is how hard hospitality had to have been hit throughout COVID. And the biggest kind of red flag that went out to me was, we have an insurance conference we go to in DC every year. It's insurance agents from across the country go to it. And there's a Renaissance hotel we always always stay at, super nice hotel. And I remember back in November, they told us that the 2021 conference was already canceled. And it wasn't because of COVID and everything else going on in DC. It was because the hotel went out of business. And you're talking about one of the super nice hotels in the heart of DC, 6 months, and it was gone. So right. I'll turn it back over to you. What?
Yeah.
We'll hit on good and bad side, but lay it out there. What's COVID been like for the hospitality industry?
COVID was rough. I'm not going to lie to you. We were hit pretty hard, and we took it on the chin. Whether we took it on the chin like champs or not is beyond me. But looking back, there was a push, like you said, to support local restaurants, support local, foodieries and so on and so forth, local groceries, sure. Which is great. We want to see that, but you are right. Kind of hotels were kind of left out to dry a little bit, and it kind of comes with, most visitors that stay in a hotel don't even stay here, right? They're visiting from out of town. They're here for work or whatnot.
Sure.
And it was hard to put a spotlight on hotels because it kind of it kind of made people want to travel, right? We're at a time, we were in a time where traveling was kind of, I don't want to say banned, but it was kind of frowned upon, right? So there were days that there were many days where, hotels were single digits, like in terms of rooms rented. And it was another winter essentially. Right. So it was not fun. You definitely can't pay any bills renting single digit rooms. I'll tell you that much. But we persevered, we definitely persevered, and we were able to keep all of our staff. We didn't have any layoffs. We wanted to see it through and see how long we could go. And luckily, some of the, government policies were starting to be in effect, like the PPP loan has helped tremendously. That kept our staff at full hours and so on and so forth. So that certainly helped. And now that we're kind of, hopefully, knock on wood, we're at the other side of this thing where everyone's getting vaccinated. We're in the low, well, I don't even know what was like low 3% range in terms of positivity rate or something like that. I think it's pretty close to that.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as more people get the vaccine, we're able to kind of take advantage or be ready for all of this pent up demand that there is for travel. I mean, if you're anything like me, I've not been anywhere other than just to and from job sites or to and from other hotels. I've not had a vacation in about 2 years. So I'm itching, man. I'm telling you, I'm ready to get out. Yeah. But, it's been rough, but looking back at it, I'm really proud of all of our team members. I'm really proud of our management team who stepped in, who were there for literally the whole day, just because, there was no one at the hotel, so we couldn't staff for that day. So our management team stepped up and when they were called upon, they stepped up in a big way.
That's awesome. Let's, I guess, try and think, which for me, it's hard enough to try and do this, but try and think pre-COVID. What was, I guess, maybe your biggest thing you were working on, or biggest kind of focal point in your industry that you saw that you were pushing hard, or maybe just something that you were learning, or just something that kind of stuck out to you that was like, and maybe it changed, maybe it hasn't now, but what was maybe that one thing back before COVID?
before COVID, we had a lot of momentum. I think THG overall had a lot of momentum. We were making we were, as you said earlier, we were growing a brand, right? That unbridled hospitality. We were implementing it across all of our hotels. We were starting new construction projects. We were lining up our pipeline for more to come, for years to come. And then COVID hit, and then it's just hard to build off that motivation that we once had, after COVID.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But I think we're starting to get our groove back. We're starting to get our swag back a little bit, and we're locked and ready, and we're focused. We're ready, man. Just give us some time. Just give us some time. We're gonna do some crazy things.
It gets me excited for you guys. I can feel it through the camera, through the microphone. I can feel that fire you got going there. What are maybe one or two things that maybe processes you guys have changed, or just maybe different approaches overall you're taking as a result of COVID, but it's actually something you see now? Hey, we probably should have done this a few years ago, but now COVID, I guess, maybe put the limelight on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, heavy emphasis on cleanliness, right? Our hotels were, the hotel's cleanliness was always number one priority, but as a result of COVID, it's taken to a new level. For example, Best Western branded hotels are requiring hotels to use an electromagnetic sprayer to kind of do the final cleanse after you clean the room normally.
Yeah.
Which is huge. Yeah. No other big brand is doing that. And a little brand like Best Western that's making it mandatory is crazy. Hilton, for example, teamed up with a really popular brand in Lysol. So everything is cleaned, and then everything is also touched up with Lysol after that. So that way it kind of gives that consumer that added confidence that they're using a name that they trust. Because if I throw names like Ecolab or stuff like that, people don't really know what that is, right? So pairing a big brand like Hilton with another brand, recognizable brand such as Lysol is it's marketing genius, right? So another thing that they do that I personally like is essentially it's like a seal on the door, so that way no one's entered your room after it's been cleaned. Because if that seal is broken, something's up, right? So as soon as that room is clean, that seal is on, and it's not to be touched until you check into your room. So that's fantastic. And then Choice Hotels, they're hitting it hard too. They're making us put the dispensers for the Germ-X or hand sanitizers pretty much every certain touch spot, right? So run by the desk, one run right by the fitness area, one by the elevators, and so on and so forth, along with an enhanced cleaning routine that we have to undergo by. And one thing, slowly but surely, that a lot of these brands that are kind of adopting, one thing that they're adopting is that less contact between you and maybe another employee, you as the guest, and another employee.
Right.
So if you're staying a 4 day, four days at a hotel, they might ask you if you would like to have housekeeping, every 2 or 3, on the second or third day, or if you're staying a week, it would probably be every third day or something like that. Or if you're really on the road and you're a road warrior and you're staying a month, you would only have housekeeping once a week. So that way it minimizes any kind of contact between any kind of hotel staff and the consumer, right? And that's getting a little bit more and more popular.
That would have to create more just overall efficiencies within the hotel itself, too, wouldn't it? If they're less, if they know, hey, I'm only going to clean these number of rooms, I know we're the only ones going to be getting cleaned this week, versus checking on every single room.
Oh yeah, think about just labor expense, just the cleaning supplies expense, just going through less chemicals, going through less utilities, so on and so forth. Everything that goes into turning over a room, that's savings realized. But people have to realize that we're spending more money in such a difficult time to enhance our cleaning protocols and so on and so forth. So it's kind of like an offset to that. Even breakfast. The breakfast of old was like an all-you-can-eat buffet, right? That might be slowing down soon. You might be more of grab and go breakfast, or prepackaged stuff. I mean, that still remains to be seen, but I mean, what's trending, it's trending in that direction for sure.
Yeah. I can see that. It's you see these memes and everything on social media all the time about like what's one thing you did pre-COVID that now you won't do, and that's one thing I haven't thought about just because I haven't been to a hotel in over a year. So that's something I thought that hasn't crossed my mind, but makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. You talked a lot about how THG as well. You're not just hotels. You guys are diversifying your all's portfolio. Yeah. Hit on. Obviously, I want to get to Crumbl cookies, but hit on to the different. Is it management type? What's the word I'm looking for here? Management services you guys are providing as well versus just your true brick and mortar locations. Hit on that a little bit and kind of how that's going and what the future holds for that portion of it. Then we'll obviously jump into Crumbl cookies. Yeah.
So, I mean, COVID really made us pivot a little bit. So we have a fiduciary duty to all of our shareholders to pump out returns. I mean, at the end of the day, our goal is to grow your money, right? Whether it's in hotels or something else. And so, COVID just made me sit down and think, well, I mean, hotels are great and it's a long-term ploy, but what's something that's a little bit less capital, requires a little bit less capital and wants us to, grow into a new facet of hospitality, right? And I was always a big fan of Crumbl cookies. I fell in love with the product. I fell in love with their brand long before I even thought about making it into a business opportunity. So I mean, it challenged us. I mean, we pretty much had to learn a brand new business from the ground up, and we still are, believe it or not. So I mean, it's a fun ride. It's a little bit nerve wracking, to be honest with you. But we're ready for it. We're up for it. We can't kind of sharpen the knife, so to speak, if we're not trying new things. So this is a new part of hospitality, and we're excited to bring it to the fine folks of Lexington.
It's a question I'm curious about, and there may be rules that are in place where you can't do this, but is an idea or a plan there that there's going to be a time where you can walk in any THG hotel and there's going to be a Crumbl cookie there at that desk for its guest?
We've had talks. I'll put it that way. We've had some talks. It's a little bit more complicated than it seems, because you're dealing
with a lot of logistical stuff that would have to go in there.
Logistics and just dealing with so many different brands. But stay tuned.
I like it. Because and I don't know if it's all Marriotts. I know there was one Marriott I went to that they had a cookie cart lady that came by, I think at like 7 o'clock every night, hot chocolate chip cookie and a glass of milk if you wanted it. I mean,
that's awesome.
Listen, it could even be a below average chocolate chip cookie, but if it's a warm chocolate chip cookie,
I'm in.
Hard to say no. And it's hard to even be disappointed.
Yeah. So. We during the summer months, during our peak months, we bring out our popcorn machine. And just, if people grab popcorn or not, that's fine, but it's really just for the aroma, right? So just the smell of buttered popcorn just gets people so excited.
Yeah, no, I would completely agree. I know my kids would be tugging on every pant leg and shirt I have on saying, "Oh, can we get popcorn? Can we get popcorn?" Yeah. So I wouldn't say no myself.
Right.
Well, let's switch gears a little bit here. We talked earlier about all the different boards and stuff you're serving on. I guess kind of one I want to hit on is your new role as a board member for SPEDA.
Right.
What's that like? I mean, essentially, outside of the few years in Bowling Green, growing up here, being a part of this community growing up, but now getting to kind of see behind the curtain on a lot of things going on here.
Man, it's so surreal. I sit at that table and I feel so out of place. Like I've got the smartest man that I've ever known in Seth Atwell sits, right in front of me. I've got such an inspiring teacher that sits next to me. I've got a well-established lawyer that sits on my other side. I've got Chris Girdler that always stares at me, at the head of the table. I've got a great developer in Brooke Ping. I mean, those names speak for themselves, right? I mean, it's tough.
No doubt.
It's real tough. I'm just happy that Mayor Keck, wanted, thought of me and appointed me to the open position. And it's humbling for sure. I joke with a friend of mine how like I'm burning the midnight oil, so to speak, here lately. And then I kind of made a little comment to Seth Atwell, and he was like, "Buddy, I stay on E." He was like, "I stay on E." He probably wakes up around 3:30 in the morning, knocks out a lot of work, from 4 to 8, and then he's a partner at the largest accounting firm in Somerset. So on top of all the stuff that he has to deal with during normal business hours, right? And then as soon as business hours are done, he's got kids, he's got to take, this kid to practice, this kid to cheerleading, and so on and so forth. This one has a cane. It's safe to say I just shut up at that point. I was like, I have no excuse. I'm just gonna keep my head down and be Seth Atwell at one point.
Well, I'm sure too, just being able to, like you, I know you jokingly mentioned you just kind of sit back and you shut up, but just being able to hear the conversations and hear some of the thought processes that go on just between those minds you mentioned in that room, and being able to learn from that. And I'm sure being able to take away some of what you're hearing there and what you're learning there and apply it to your own profession.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Like I said, being around those guys and just being, a fly on the wall, so to speak. But I mean, they encourage, me to get, to voice my opinion. And I do, I'm not afraid to voice my opinion. And it makes for a great conversation. Sometimes they're really tough conversations to have, but I mean, at the end of the day, our main goal is to make Somerset and Pulaski County the greatest it can be. Right.
Right.
We want to create a really thriving community that, in Somerset. And I think we're well on our way.
Absolutely. And like I mentioned earlier, we're focusing on tourism a little bit this month, just because, several reasons. We talked about, with all the vaccinations and COVID, hopefully on the downward spiral. So this is kind of the time too, when tourism starts to pick up in our area.
Right.
I'm trying to think the best way to phrase this question. Obviously, your all's portfolio plays a tremendous impact in our community here as well. How do you guys prepare for that to set yourselves apart from the other brands that may be here, locally, regionally, but then also you've got, just like insurance companies have, like the Geicos of the world that we fight against. How do you guys battle or win your share of the market space versus like the Airbnbs of the world?
Yeah. So that's a very good question. How we try to differentiate our hotels from others. I tell all of our employees, especially our managers, that every hotel has a bed, a shower, and a TV. What's going to make you different from other hotels, and that's how you treat the guest. When you walk through those doors and you're clocking in for your shift, you're Mickey Mouse, right? You kind of leave your bad day. If you had a bad day, leave everything outside, right? But before you get into those glass doors, and be ready to just make this customer's day. It's plain and simple. I call it the circle of life, right? You make the customer happy, the customer will, in turn stay with us more. It'll pay our bills. It'll pay everybody's paychecks, and he'll keep coming back. And then that's we take care of the guest will take care of us, and it's as simple as that. In terms of a little bit more specifically in Somerset, coming off of the winter time is obviously, winter is slow for a lot of businesses, and it's no different for us. So a lot of rooms go unrented or untouched, and so on and so forth. So we definitely try to get into every single room before our busy season, and do the touch-up paintings, do the preventive maintenance, do the deep cleans, and so on and so forth, to where we're ready for the busy season. And we're just that much ahead than other people, hopefully.
Right.
Yeah.
So then what's that like too? I guess what's it for the Airbnb approach? What would you think about on that?
So Airbnb is it's a touchy subject with hoteliers. It's kind of like the same concept as hotels, but they're not treated the same as hotels, right? So, hotels, right. A lot of people don't realize it, but we have so many different restrictions that and guidances that we have to follow. We've got ADA rules that are not that pertain to us, but don't pertain to Airbnbs. We've got cleanliness guidelines, especially after COVID, that we have to abide by, and yet Airbnbs somewhat goes unscathed. So this is a touchy subject for all hoteliers, and we can go on and on about it, but I see the value of Airbnb, but at the same time, 9 times out of 10, a hotel is, even though it has a big name like a Marriott or Hilton or Best Western or Comfort Inn or any kind of brand for that matter, 9 times out of 10, that hotel is a small business, and that hotel owner lives in your same community.
Absolutely.
They're probably the parent of a child that's on the softball team that you coach, and you just don't even know it, right? We're the ones putting the logos on the back of your child's softball t-shirts. Not
absolutely right.
2424 Wood Hills Drive Airbnb, right? So I mean, just something to think about next time you make your travel arrangements.
That's a strong counterpoint. I like that a lot. One thing I thought about when you were talking through there was about the circle of life. And I think there may be some licensing issues there, but if you play that song just kind of in your hallways, in your lobby, I think that'll probably lift everyone's spirits as they're walking around. They'll probably start humming and singing it to themselves a little bit.
It's funny you say that, because my dog's name is Simba.
That's awesome. Nice.
Yeah.
I love it. What kind of dog do you have?
He's a golden lab. He's a goober. He's a 65-pound dog, and he thinks he's a lap dog.
I'm very familiar with those. Yep. Well, Ameet, obviously you've got some new construction going on. What's on tap for 2021?
2021.
As we're breaking through some of this.
Yeah, we're finishing strong here in Georgetown. That's where most of my time is spent. So it's a neat little hotel. It's a two brands under one roof. So we've got your Sleep Inn, which is your standard transit facility with some nice modern touches in terms of just in terms of the furniture and then the color palette. And then on the other side, you've got your extended stay. So like your kind of kitchenette, your mini apartment style living. And we think that will resonate pretty well with those that are visiting Georgetown. And actually a large draw for Georgetown is the Arc. That's just 15 minutes up the road. That's going to be a huge hit for us. We're really excited to get opened up within the next month and a half or so. Don't quote me on it, but about a month and a half or so. So we're really all hands on deck, just getting it taken care of and getting it ready for opening day, and then hopefully around the same time as that opens up, we'll be in full construction mode with our Hampton Inn and Brandon Crossing right outside of Lexington. It's a hop, skip, and a jump, and maybe even a pitching wedge away from what Lexington is. From Keeneland, the airport, the UK campus, football, Kroger Field. It's all there. We're all within a short distance of that, and that is a project that I'm very excited about, and I cannot wait to bring that puppy home. That's my project. That's going to be my mark.
Nice. What's that? What exactly is it close to? Because I know every now and then, pre-COVID, we go up to like the movie tavern every now and then. Yeah. And we'll see. Obviously, take the kids up there, get a little bit different experience, of course. And they've got some great restaurants in that little area too. What exactly will the Hampton be next to there?
So it's actually right across the street from that movie tavern. So if you're, are you familiar with the Drakes in the area?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So just look across the road. If you're standing in Drake's parking lot, and we're right there. Right off the main Brandon Road. So movie tavern and Drake's will be on the right. We're going to be right there across the street on the left.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, Ameet, I want to be a good steward of your time, so I don't want to hold you too long here. Is there anything else that maybe you want to discuss, want listeners to know, anything you want to throw out there?
No, I mean, as you mentioned in the intro, all hotels are more than just a place to stay or a place to rest. We're a community partner, and if there's any way that we can be of any help to you guys, to whoever's listening, whether it's your company, your child softball team, let us know. Feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to help you guys out in any way. Especially if, on the corporate side of things, if you're looking a way to save some money. I know budgets are tough this year, especially bouncing back from COVID, and you need to keep, double check that travel budget. Feel free to reach out to us. We've got so many hotels all across the state of Kentucky that we can make something work no matter where you are.
And lastly, too, it's just because it's always a popular theme. If someone wants to apply to work for one of your brands or for THG, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so the best way to do that is you would probably have better, an easier time to apply directly with the hotel. So whether it's the hotel in Shepherdsville or the hotel in Columbia or the hotel in Somerset, just apply directly to the hotel. Whether just go in and fill out an application. We're always taking applications. We're looking to hire people very quickly, especially with the upcoming busy season coming up. I know we've got plenty of job postings available on Facebook and through the THG page as well. We're in need of just great people to come in with a smile on their face and a willingness to learn. I mean, we will teach you everything you need to know.
Last thing, Crumbl Cookies open date is
to be determined. If I had to guess, it would be end of May. If I had to guess, unfortunately, the corporate doesn't give us an opening date until 2 weeks. Right? Yeah, 2 weeks in advance. So we'll know hopefully soon.
Nice. Okay. Well, Ameet, really enjoyed our conversation. Enjoyed you taking the time out to sit down with me and go over everything. And best of luck finishing up your Georgetown hotel, finishing up Crumbl Cookies, finishing up getting started on Hampton Inn and everything else. Like you said, you're running on E, so hopefully it can send you some more caffeine and good vibes your way to power through it.
I appreciate it, brother. This has been a blast. We should do this more often.